Charlie Kirk is not somebody. This isn't the horseshoe theory, right? I mean, maybe in some people's minds it is, but this isn't like, oh, we see the world very differently, but we kind of converge on this one issue. I know that Cenk Uygur stands for ethical, principled, humanistic values. Charlie Kirk opposes all of that. So when you stand on stage with him, you lend legitimacy to him. Now I hear you saying, "Oh well, they won the election. They kicked our ass. They already have legitimacy." Yeah, they have electoral power. That's not the same as legitimacy. You're giving moral legitimacy to them. You're encouraging people to say, "Hey, our political differences are just that." And it allows people to frame our political differences as minor differences of opinion, as opposed to high stakes moral, ethical issues that reflect our fundamental humanity.
So I started the largest progressive network. I've given dozens of progressives opportunities they didn't have before. I started Just Democrats, et cetera, et cetera. The minute I disagree, like 5% on trans issues or crime, everybody's like, right wing, fascist, right wing. Almost every show is saying that. Almost every show. So you telling me that you don't push people out? You're pushing out the movement overall. At least the online left movement seems to be trying to push out the one network that has helped progressives more than any other network, and it's not in dispute. But my God, we have 5% disagreement. So tear it down, tear it.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about the real division in our politics, which is the current civil war that's happening on the left. One of the reasons why the mainstream liberal media is so caught up in this Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, MAGA drama over legal immigration is because they're sick and tired of talking about the real division in this country, which again is in the Democrat Party. It's on the left side of the aisle, okay? That is the honest to God truth. And I personally am going to continue to cover the division on the left, which is what they don't want you to do. They don't want us talking about how the Democrat Party is fractured due to the fact that people on the left, the far left, have a complete and total intolerance to anybody who disagrees with them just a little bit. Okay, I want you guys to understand. The right, MAGA, we're at the point now where we're actually disagreeing over policies, okay? We're having policy conversations, which is healthy, right? That's a healthy disagreement. The left, they're not disagreeing over policy or anything like that. They're disagreeing over whether or not you should even engage with the other side of the aisle, right? So again, they're not arguing about healthcare. They're not arguing about solutions to the economy. They're not arguing about immigration. They're not arguing about real issues, okay? They're not at that point yet. They're so divided that, again, they're arguing about Cenk being on stage with Charlie Kirk. That's what they're upset about. That's how divided they are, okay? And that's what we have to talk about here today. Because we got to react to this very, very, very fascinating conversation between Francesca Fiorentini, who I believe is a contributor to TYT, so she may work for Cenk in some capacity, and Cenk Uygur of TYT. Again, because Francesca here, just like a lot of leftists, are upset with Cenk due to the fact that he is trying to reach out to MAGA. Okay, Cenk has become one of the most interesting people in politics, at least online politics, because he seems to be having a come to Jesus moment with the left, and the fact that their intolerance is destroying their movement, okay? And I just want you guys to understand the amount of delusion here from this leftist who's going to rage against Cenk, because clearly she's not living in reality. She believes that left-wing media is somehow underfunded compared to right-wing media, despite the fact that essentially all of mainstream liberal media, which is billions of dollars, right? Billions of dollars goes into mainstream liberal media. Also, the Democrats raise billions of dollars doing Kamala Harris's campaign. Somehow, some way, the left is underfunded compared to the right. Take a look.
Here is him asking you about left media. And I got to say, Cenk, this one sucked real hard for me.
The left has some work to do in developing over-the-top media to be able to bypass the main networks.
Yeah, so we have TYT as a giant network, but we have a lot of great progressive and populist shows that are not part of TYT that's in the left-wing ecosystem. I don't think that that's the issue. I don't think that there isn't enough shows. I think that there's a couple others. One, on the right, you guys do a great job of coalescing. Okay, so you do a couple of things well. You work together well, and you're more welcoming, if I'm being honest. If you agree with MAGA 5%, the answer you get is welcome, right? Come join us, right? On the left, if you disagree 5%, they go, get out of here, you're a right-winger, you're a fascist.
I watched this whole I watched the whole clip, and it started off and I was like, this is pretty good. This moment, like, truly a part of me died when I watched this.
Wow, I can't believe that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
Super. Just like shriveled up and died, floated away into the ocean. He asks you about left-wing media and why there isn't more left-wing media, which already, as you are there, you know, in the sort of kingdom of turning points, that's such a dig. Like, why are you guys so weak is effectively what he's saying. And instead of pointing out the way that TPUSA has been bankrolled by Republican mega donors out of Chicago and many other places for years now, and talking about how the Daily Wire was funded by the fracking brothers, the Wilkes brothers. Now they're fishing for new, you know, investors, whatnot, but that there is so much money on the right. He handed this answer to you on a fucking platter, and all you said was, you know what? You guys are really good at being welcoming. People just like you. Cenk, they've got all the money.
I didn't say people just
what
like
are you
me. That's very
talking about?
different.
That's effectively what you're good at coalescing. And here's my question to you about so that's just number one on the media, because that just stings because I'm in media. But on the 5%, if you disagree with MAGA 5%, they still welcome you. How did that work out for Liz Cheney?
Yeah, so again, the delusional leftists are upset, right? They're really upset with Cenk. But what Cenk is realizing is that MAGA is not a monolith, okay? MAGA is not a cult, okay? We do not worship Trump. We do not go along with everything that Trump says.
When it comes to the 5%, 95%, yeah, I hear you. So it's that when you disagree with Trump, especially in the past, especially in the first term, et cetera, you're a goner, right? But they are pushing back even on Trump now. So, again, on things that we don't agree with, but on COVID, for example, they thought that Trump did too much COVID protections, et cetera. And there was, and this is really encouraging. When I talk about Team Miriam, Marco Rubio, Elise Stefanik, Mike Huckabee, and Mike Walz. So those are the four that put in by the neocons put in by Miriam Adelson. In the old days, what I would have gotten Franny is, no way, they're the greatest. They're not neocons. You're a liar. Trump picked them. Trump's the best. Now what I'm getting from the right-wing host, which is amazing, and let alone the base, they're all saying, yeah, I hear you. We got concerns about them. We got concerns. Okay. So that's the thing I never heard before.
Yeah. So what Cenk is admitting here, okay, is the same thing that you heard Dean Phillips admit, right? The same Democrat that ran against Joe Biden. He actually went to Trump rallies and he admitted, he was like, wait, MAGA, they're actually pretty nice people. They're very tolerant. They're not overtly racist, right? And they're welcoming, right? Like they have differences of opinion. They openly disagree with Trump, but they aren't a cult, right? They are not a hive mind like the left, right? That's the thing. The crazy part is that these people tend to comment and judge MAGA from far away, right? Without actually experiencing MAGA. And then once these people actually start to interact with MAGA, to actually learn more about MAGA and the American First Movement, they realize that, wait, we were wrong. All these things that we were saying, these MSNBC talking points weren't true, okay? MAGA is a very ideologically diverse movement, okay? They understand that. Cenk understands that. Now, here's my deal with Cenk, because a lot of people are skeptical of Cenk. I don't think Cenk is MAGA. I don't think Cenk will ever be MAGA. But I think he's a useful tool. And I'm all on board with using useful tools to accomplish some shared goals. Like, for example, when it comes to establishing term limits for these congressmen, yeah, the left, they agree with that. Why shouldn't we work with them to get it done if we all agree on that? They also agree with banning congressmen being able to trade individual stocks. Yeah, if the left, if they want to get on board with that, then I'm totally fine with that as well too. Okay, there are some things that the left and the right, the populist left and the populist right, can agree on, and I think that it's important to work on the agreements instead of focusing on the disagreements all the time. As long as somebody like Cenk, again, is kept at an arm's length, he's not influencing the movement to become left-wing, okay, when it comes to certain issues. Hey, I have no problems with him kind of trying to work with the movement when it comes to very specific niche issues that we agree upon, right? I'm a pragmatist. Okay, that's the type of person I am. I want to actually figure out how to build coalitions and get things done, right? Because the more you fight each other, the less things actually get done, and that's what the elites want. They want us fighting and not getting things done, right? Not figuring out what we all agree on and trying to accomplish stuff. So with that being said, again, the left, they don't understand this, right? They don't understand a pragmatic approach to politics, and their intolerance is something that I think is holding them back, okay? And I think Cenk realizes that, and that is why we're going to continue to react to this woman being upset with Cenk for having an open mind.
Destructive, extreme left that I honestly, that portion, that kind of destructive attitude is poison. It's not just poison to us, it's poison to our chances of winning.
Boom.
Because
So
we keep pushing people out, we keep pushing people out, and then all of a sudden we lost all the swing states and we lost the popular vote. I'm trying to get our side to wake up, snap out of our hypnosis of we hate, and we hate the right wing, and they're all white supremacists, and they're all racist, and they're all sexist, and we hate, and we never go in the room with them, we hate. What the hell happened to us? And no one's allowed to disagree. We're now authoritarian. No.
Wait,
I
Cenk,
rebel.
can I just clarify?
I will never allow the left to be authoritarian, and this idea of just hating the other side is poison.
You know what's so funny about you calling the left authoritarian is that you think the left has power. Like, I love that you think
total nonsense.
we are on the precipice of real authoritarianism and real fascism. And you believe that the online left are the authoritarians? I mean, I don't know how to tell you. You sound like Bill Maher and Nancy Pelosi had a kid, and it came out Cenk Uygur. And let me just ask you though.
You know what's crazy to me about these leftists? These leftists are so delusional. They're so out of touch with reality that it's honestly painful to watch these people pretend as if they have no power, that they're victims. And it's like, dude, every major institution in this country is left wing. Let's be honest. Look at our government, overwhelmingly left wing for the most part, at least for now. Okay. You have, and again, they might not consider Democrats to be left wing, but I think to normal rational people, Democrats are very left wing right now. Okay. When you look at the corporate America, overwhelmingly left wing. When you look at the education system, overwhelmingly left wing, right? All of these universities are overwhelmingly left wing. Yeah, the left, I think they have ideological control over a lot of major institutions in this country, but this woman is pretending that, well, the left has no power. We have no power. And it's like, okay, well, you know, these institutions may not be full-blown communists like this woman, but at the same time, they are left wing. Okay? They're overwhelmingly left. So miss me with that, oh, we don't have any power, we're victims thing. No, you guys have a lot of ideological control over this country, and that's where a lot of the pushback is coming from, is the fact that people are disagreeing with it, okay?
Let me just ask you, so what shows on the left do you like that aren't on the TYT network?
Yeah, so I said, look, there's a lot of good popular shows on the left that I like, and it's because there are. So Breaking Point's a good show. Kyle Kalinski's Secular Talk is a good show. He was against me going on MAGA. I haven't seen his video, but Kyle's been against us a couple of times. But I largely didn't hold a grudge on that.
But wait, let me just stop you. First of all, you had a great conversation with Crystal Ball. I think she made some really good points to you on, I think it was on Breaking Points. Kyle has, I think, been very disturbed, especially by your appearance with Charlie Kirk. But what you just said there, they've been against us. I really want to just dig into this idea that, because you're a fighter, man. That's cool. That's great. But like, you really do have a very I almost want to call it Bush-like, Cheney-like, you're with us or against us attitude.
100% wrong.
Like you just literally, I love that you're proving my point. But no, when I say this, you truly, you sound like people are either against you, but if they criticize you, They are not. And yet, here you are, Cenk, telling the entire right wing that all you want to do is break bread with them, that you want to debate with them, but afterward you want to go have a beer.
Yes, I do.
You want to have a beer with people who want to put people in mass deportation camps. They want to deport.
You think we're going to get put in camps? You sound all right. Anyway,
you think I sound crazy? They're starting with Chinese people. That's my fucking family, dog. Like, what are you talking about?
That's such an excuse. Okay, they're going to start with Muslims. They're going to start with my people. Okay, if they start it all. So stop hiding behind vulnerable communities.
I'm hiding behind vulnerable communities.
Yes, you are. You're using them as human shields.
I'm standing in front of vulnerable communities, Cenk.
No, you're not.
What are you doing?
What you're doing is that you're using that as an excuse not to engage in actual ideological debate and conversation with people that you disagree with, right? You're basically saying, well, you should not go talk to them. You should not go on their platforms because of the fact that they want to harm minorities, right? It's so heinous, so vile that we shouldn't even talk to those people. We shouldn't even engage with them because they're against basic human rights, right? That is essentially her argument. And Cenk is arguing that, no, you're exaggerating and you're just using that as an excuse to stay in your little bubble.
I'm in front of vulnerable communities. I'm the most endangered, Franny.
By tweeting at Elon Musk? Please, don't help me. Come on, Cenk. This is so sad. That's so sad.
Let's take
it down. Let's simmer down. No. Simmer down. I'm asking, let me just ask you real honest to God.
You already said 12 things that I need to respond to. Can I respond to them?
No, I want to ask you this one question.
No, of course not.
Let's talk about you going on these shows. Just simmer down. Let me ask you one question. Imagine if Harris had won. Okay, she wins. She wins the popular vote. She wins obviously the Electoral College. Incredible, first female president. Blah blah blah. All this stuff. And Tucker Carlson started making all these rounds on really progressive leftist shows, went on Kyle's show, went on my show. I'm like, who the hell? Started reaching out and wanting to talk and wanting to come to agreement on things. What would that look like to you?
Yeah, it would look like Tucker was trying to reach out. Tucker's a bad example because I would be surprised if he did that. But okay, yeah, no problem.
What would it look like to you?
I wouldn't. Do I think that Tucker would be selling out? No, there's no chance.
No. Well, I'm not. It's not about selling out. What would that what would it just seem like? Hey, man, we can agree. Yeah, you know what? I did say that Kamala Harris was a DEI hire and she's basically a communist, but now I just feel like I've antagonized you and I'm here to break bread and let's talk and let's get stuff done. What would that look like to you?
It would look surprising, but I wouldn't care. I'd find it interesting. Why? What does it look like to you?
I mean, to me, if Tucker Carlson did that, I'd be like, oh, we fucking won. We won like crazy. We won so resoundingly. He's doing an apology tour because 3 ghosts visited him in the middle of the night and he's completely changed his tune because he wants to throw down with the winners. We are crushing it. And I saw in that moment, you want me to play it for you? When Charlie Kirk goes, "We're glad Cenk's here, everybody." And that was the feeling that I think a lot of right-wingers have when they look at you, Cenk, where they're like, damn, yo, we crushed so hard. Even this guy is turning now.
Yeah, except I'm not turning. I've said it 2,000 times.
I'm just saying what it would look like. I'm just saying what it would look like.
You keep saying it like it's true when it isn't remotely true. But okay, let me address it. So, okay, number one, you're empirically wrong because guess what's happening? Matt Gaetz has reached out to us, Tucker Carlson, to come on our shows. And so it's your exact analogy, okay? Patrick Bet-David, et cetera, and they won. They're still trying to come on the Young Turks. Why? Because they're trying to have a conversation, not because they want to do an apology tour. They think they are ascendant, but nevertheless, they want to talk to the left.
But you had to make it's because they think that your
version of the left says, no way, we never talk to the other side. But we're not authoritarian.
Cenk, that's not true.
We're not authoritarian. You're not allowed to disagree 1%, but we're not authoritarian. We have no power, so we're not authoritarian. So that's not how it works, Franny. And the establishment Democrats are also authoritarian. So what do they say? You must agree with Kamala Harris, otherwise that's it. You're a heretic and you're being driven out from the party. You know that. The establishment Democrats have done that to us for the last 20 years. Don't tell me that there's no power on the left. There's tons of power on the left. And when the swarm comes, the left-wing swarm, oh, you'd like to be called a woman. You're racist, fascist, transphobe. What? I'm not authoritarian. No, that is an authoritarian mindset. Just you don't have to have power to have an authoritarian mindset. And there's different versions of power. There's the shunning power. There's social media power. There's mainstream media power. There's political power. There's all sorts of different power. So look, guys, the left. First of all,
there's also just money and actual power.
It gets back to the we. So you ask me politically, who do I represent? I represent the great majority of left-wing voters. The great majority of left-wing voters are not pro-establishment. They get tricked by mainstream media into voting in that direction. It drives me absolutely nuts. But when you ask them about policies, they agree with us completely on policies, right? And the great majority of left-wing voters are not far left. They think a woman should be called a woman. And I'm not saying that in some dismissive way. I'm in favor of trans rights. If you want to be called a birthing person, we love it. We got no problem with it. You be called a birthing person. But when you say no, we call everyone a birthing person. America hates it. Left-wing voters hate it. When I just want to say there's no crime, left-wing voters hate it. So I'm standing up for the overwhelming majority of Democratic voters and left-wing voters.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
Authoritarian sides of the left saying you're not allowed to disagree with the establishment. You're not allowed to disagree with the extreme left. No, I am allowed. I am allowed. And,
hang on. Wait, please.
Yeah. So Cenk is right. Cenk is right. I can't really disagree with him. And also, he's being pragmatic about it. He's saying, I'm not concerned about whether or not my side won or lost. I'm concerned about whether or not, there is some room for agreement. Because again, regardless of who wins or who loses, what you should be fighting for is not for your side to quote unquote win, but for the policies that you believe in to be enacted. And again, if there's some room for agreement on some things, then maybe we can meet the other side when it comes to that. I think that's the mindset that Cenk has. And I think he's seeing through the, again, intolerance of the left, how his side is just not fit to win, right? Why his side lost is because of the intolerance. They can't even stomach a conversation, let alone talking about policy or any policy differences. They can't even stomach just going to a conference and say, hey, guys, I'm here to talk, right? I just want to hash it out. So, look, this is fascinating stuff happening right now in politics. Things are changing and things are changing fast. And it's going to be really interesting to see how things unfold over the next 4 years or so going into the next election. But I definitely think that ideologically things are going to evolve. Again, I just want to be along for the ride to see where it kind of ends up going into this next election season. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.